Hey girls, before we jump into this podcast, I wanted to tell you about Church Girl Conference coming up this May. And to honor you, our podcast listeners, we actually have a special promotion going on, Church Girl Pod, for $20 off general admission. It's happening right here in New York City, and it's going to be some powerful days in God's presence, messages. There's also going to be some breakouts that are going to equip you for living out your real life wherever you are and whatever season you might find yourself in. More importantly, I think there's going to be friends that you're going to find for the journey. It wouldn't be the same without you. May is the perfect time to be in New York City anyway. So do me a favor. Listen to this podcast, of course, but register for Church Girl Conference. Go ahead and go to churchgirl.com or the links below and get your ticket today. I hope to see you there. Hey
girls, welcome.
Welcome back to the Church Girl
podcast.
I'm here with my husband, Taylor. My name's Kristen Wilkerson, and I'm your host. And today we
Your
are
very sexy host.
we are chatting about relationships and marriage.
That's what we're talking about.
You know what I called this? I called this, I'm the problem, it's me.
Yeah, you are. Wait, I'm kidding.
And you know that's from a song, right?
No.
I want you to sing it.
It's me. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. It's me. Hey, yeah, it's me.
It's a Taylor Swift song.
It's me. It's me.
Hi,
I'm the problem. It's me. Is it that? I got it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
What do you think, Santi? Does that work?
How you kind of had it at the beginning. Okay, but you and I, we've actually been married now for 10 years, been dating.
Yes.
Dating for 15. Is that true? Dating for 15 years.
Dating for 15.
This week, actually.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
February?
No, March. Yeah, March. Yeah. 10th, 11th.
Yeah. Well, whenever we are in time. Is that true? Okay.
That is true. Yeah.
It's me. Hey. I don't know how it goes.
But we have been having lots of conversations this month at church and in our community about relationships and
really
marriage.
Just one-on-one, trying to fix some
Me
issues,
and you,
some problems.
Lots of issues.
Yeah, problems, guys. That's why we're here to air it out with you.
Okay.
On the Church Girl podcast.
What's one of your
our biggest problems?
Yeah, let's talk about one of our biggest problems.
Don't know where to start. One of our biggest problems. I don't like the question.
It was kind of a joke.
It comes. Okay, good.
Don't actually answer that. What can be some of the biggest problems people have in their relationships, though?
Well, I think communication is like the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think communication.
And we
is
are
the thing.
perfect at that.
We're so good at communicating. No, communications, expectations, mind reading, communicating with like body language, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And like, I think that tends to be the common point. What do they say the three big topics are? It's always communication, sex, and money. And I find that's always true. It tends to be that when one of those three places are stressed, you can start seeing the byproduct of them in one of the other places. So when money's kind of hard, communication gets short because there's fear in the relationship.
Sure. Stress.
And then stress and exhaustion, you begin to remove intimacy, and it impacts sex. So here's the big thing: if you make a lot of money, you won't be stressed. And I'm kidding. It's terrible marriage advice. Well, it's not terrible to make a lot of money, but it is terrible too.
Yeah, it doesn't actually fix your problems, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. Those are definitely some big topics. One of the things, and I like to share this with people all the time, for us, so we got married when we were 24 years old.
Can you believe it?
Honestly, just babies, really. I know that in a lot of places in the world, that's a normal age, but living in New York City now, that's so shocking to me that we got married that young because so many people here, I mean, even 30 is like, that's young. People think that's young to get married. And so I was basically a child bride. Not really, but so we got married when we were 24. And we had a lot of advice and probably a lot of like fear. A lot of people are into that whole like fear mongering thing when it comes to jumping into relationships, jumping into marriage, which I kind of hate. But we had lots of people who were like, oh, it's going to be your first couple years are just so hard. Like if you can make it through those, and I remember hearing that. So that really like put a big like weight, like, oh, what's going to happen?
Totally.
You kind of are like expecting the worst. Like, am I going to find things out about Taylor that I never knew? And I think my biggest revelation when we got married wasn't that you were the problem, but I was the problem. That marriage actually was a mirror, and it wasn't about finding out bad things about you or you dropping the ball or anything like that. But it was more like, oh wow, there's so much that marriage sharpens in your life. There's so much that marriage points out, in brokenness and challenges in your identity and bad habits or lifestyle choices.
Marriage, you said marriage mirrors. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I like to say marriage magnifies. So
Yeah.
if you struggle with insecurity before you're married, I think that marriage puts a magnifying glass on that, and it seems to make it bigger.
Yeah.
If you have a lust problem, I know a lot of men, they think by getting married that their lust problems are going to go away. It's just not true. It magnifies it. Marriage doesn't erase the parts of you that need to grow and get better. Marriage actually highlights those parts of you, the dark parts of your life that need to get better. Marriage puts light on those dark parts, and that's actually the gift of marriage. That's actually what marriage is for. Paul in Ephesians, he talks about. He says, wives submit, but he says mutually submit. He says, men and women mutually submit to one another, and husband, love your wives as Christ loves the church. And it's through that mutual submission and through that mutual love that Paul then says, presenting her just as the Lord is going to present the church. There's this idea that when we get to heaven, I'm going to stand accountable for the woman that you are. And I'm going to be responsible as your husband to answer this question. I think Jesus is going to say, Taylor, like, did you do all the things that I was called to do? And part of that thing is, did I help Kristen fulfill her calling? Did I help Kristen step into all that God has called her to do? And in marriage, in order for that to happen, marriage, it provides this environment for us to grow one another, to sharpen one another, to make each other better. And that's why it magnifies. That's why it mirrors. That's why the dark parts need light to shine on it. And we get better. So we got to get better at communicating, got to get better at being vulnerable, got to get better at displaying all the fruits of the Spirit. That's what marriage does. And I love what you're saying. Because we tend to say, like in marriages, like, oh God, I wish you would. I have people come up to me and, I need God to change my husband. I need God to change my wife. I need the Lord to do something in them. And what you're saying is it's actually the opposite. Like I'm not praying for God to change people. I need God to change me. And as I love you better, that love, as I learn to love better, that love will change you. As I'm more kind, that kindness will change you. As I'm more gracious, that will. But I'm the problem. It's me. I need God to grow me. So I kind of went on a little diatribe there of this is what marriage is. This is the purpose of marriage. And all of it comes back to I'm only in control of me.
Yeah.
I have to learn to submit. I have to learn to love.
Yeah. And I think that's a huge thing. Like what you said, I'm only in control of me.
Yeah.
And marriage doesn't make you in control of someone else. And I think women, that can sometimes be our stronghold, or it
Well, that's
can
the
be
big fear with even that term, like submit. Some wives submit to your husband.
Yeah.
I think.
Why do you think? I mean, I actually think that we know that there is evidence, even in Scripture, when we go all the way back to the very beginning and we go back to sin, and we God actually addresses how men and women will have troubles together because of the result of sin. And like part of it is you'll try to rule over your husband, but you never will. And
that's what God says to Eve.
Yeah. And it's kind of funny to me because so many women do fall into that trap and don't even realize, like, hey, this is something that is a trap, and this is exactly what Scripture shows us is the result of sin.
Yeah.
Right? And so, yeah.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it's this humble posture of saying, I'm in control of me. So for the men watching the Church Girl podcast, which I don't know how many there are.
Maybe spouses are together watching
Yeah,
it, so
exactly. But
listening.
I think that the reason we see this discontentment
Mhm.
with women and their husbands, really, I would say women trying to control their husbands, it's because I think there are so many men who are failing to lead, failing to man up, failing to rise to the occasion
Wow.
in so many parts of their life. I think that we're living in a culture where it's easier to remain a child for a long time instead of grow up, take responsibility, and become all that God has called you to be. And so I think that, and we know that, like, right now, like we live in a really unique time. Like, they say the future is female, and we talk about like women's rights and all that stuff. Like, I don't know if you know this, but did you know that, like, for like boss positions, like management positions, like across the nation, there are more women who in leadership roles than men. That that's just true. There's more women who are managers,
Wow.
who are
I
bosses,
didn't know that.
who there are more women who have subordinates than men who have subordinates. And what is that? Well, I think that we are seeing a rise in leadership in women, and I think we're seeing a decline in leadership in a lot of men. And I think that that's what we're sensing. So a lot of that frustration, I think it comes from a lot of stuff happening in culture, but it doesn't change the fact that the way that you help your husband become that leader to keep growing isn't by highlighting all the places he's failing. It's by celebrating the places that he's winning. It's not by saying he's the problem. It's by saying I'm the problem. How can I better celebrate? How can I better elevate? How can I better speak life? How can I better come alongside? How can I better, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the only thing. That's the only thing that you can control. So to the woman who feels like that's it's a difficult thing, I wish he would just, and I would just say, hey, just invert that. I wish I would just be more encouraging. I wish I would just help him fulfill his calling. How can you come alongside your
Yeah,
husband
that's great.
to help him become
Yeah.
all that God's called him to be?
Yeah. Well, let's assume that most listeners
Are single,
are no, women,
single and
wives.
ready to mingle.
What would be some ways, like practically, that maybe I help you in that? And like, I mean, I can be maybe nitpicky or I can nag at times, but what are some of the ways? Because maybe someone's saying, actually, practically, how do I do that? Like, it can feel, how do you build someone up without pointing out flaws? What are the best ways? Like, how do you receive
Well, like,
feedback best? How do you receive
yeah.
encouragement best?
Well, I would say things that you do is that you're always supporting and like cheerleading, like we can, like, it's gonna be okay. Like, you're always speaking life. You're never disrespectful to me. You're never dishonoring. You never are belittling. You never name call. Even if you are frustrated about something, you've never done any of those things. So I think having some ground rules of, like, I just don't talk to my spouse that way is really important. So you've never done that,
And I think that does happen a lot.
I think, oh, it definitely
I think
does.
people do cross that line.
Yeah, like I think people just name call. You're lazy. You don't do nothing. Like, honestly, if you just never said those things, then
Or even, and maybe people aren't even saying, like we should get divorced. Maybe they're like, maybe we should have never gotten married.
yeah,
It's
if we
like,
don't fix this, I don't know how we'll stay together.
right,
Stuff like
right.
that. Yeah, we can't threaten divorce, can't threaten leaving. I think some of those are some of the like the basics, but I think they're really practical. No name calling, never threatening to leave. But there was something last year that I neglected to do, and it is an important, like, responsibility for our family. I actually don't want to do it.
Yeah.
And I was just procrastinating. And it kind of got to a moment where you realize the severity of it, and you're like, hey, and it was a real moment where you really kind of gut checked me. You're like, you told me you had this handled, and now this impacts me. This impacts our family. You need to go fix it today. Not later. You're gonna go do it right now. And I was able to, and I received it really well. And I was like, yeah, you're 100% right. We don't have very many moments like this
No,
where, like,
definitely.
something like that's happened. but it was a very real moment where you called me higher and I wanted to do it. I think what probably happens in some marriages is there's so much discontentment in parts of people's lives financially and the expectations that they have, that what happens is they start communicating like that regularly.
Yeah.
And when you speak harshly, or when you coach someone higher, hey, you need to, hey, I believe in you, but you're gonna have to wake up earlier, you're gonna have to work harder, you're gonna have to when that's like becomes like a regular conversation, it just it's just easy to drown out. And
Yeah.
and I know a lot of men in their marriages, it's just sometimes easier to ignore your wife because it's just like, man, she's always got something. It's kind of like the way a lot of men feel. There's always something she's not happy about. It kind of always feels like not enough. Kind of always feels like. So I think that there's a lot to talk about. When you talk about marriages, everyone's in a different place,
Yeah.
and so I would again, I'm the problem. It's me. So if you're discontent with your husband's performance in his career, I just think a good question is, hey, maybe I have a discontentment. I have a discontentment problem in my life, period. Maybe I have a discontentment with life. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Like almost like
Or it's about how,
expectations for what my
yeah,
life would look like.
the appearances. You know what I mean? Like I think a lot
I
of
do
women
know
that can happen.
I know dudes who are working jobs so that their wives can keep up a lifestyle that they can't afford. Like
Yeah.
that's a thing. And
Yeah.
and like it's just a like that's crazy. Like and again, if that's you, you're the problem. It's you. It's not him.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to taking responsibility, right? So all of that comes back to, and I think that this is just an area where we've found a lot of strength
Mhm.
in our relationship is that you and I, we take responsibility where we've fallen short, and we take responsibility if things aren't working on any side, and we certainly are not perfect at this, but I think we're always, working on that and doing that. And I think that sometimes that's where people have a hard time, is just feeling like it's someone else's responsibility, and I think that might have a lot to do with the way that people were raised, or also like, family connections to your marriage, and not really. The Bible talks about leaving and cleaving. You get married and you
Yeah,
leave your family and you cleave to your spouse, meaning you create a whole new culture. I
totally.
think that's a big part of this conversation, like I'm the problem, it's me, is also when we're talking about family and in-laws, and how much you allow outside sources to speak in, to coach, to rescue, to fix. Maybe we can talk about even that a little bit, like boundaries with other relationships in your life, whether that is family or friends, that I think sometimes people allow others' voices to be way too loud in their relationship, and they're actually not creating their own culture, their own DNA in their family. They're actually just trying to keep up with someone else's expectation of what they should look like or their marriage should look like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we know that everybody needs friendships and people in their lives that they can go to and talk about the hard things of life. And there should be really nothing off topic. Like I think all of us need relationships to talk about, man, I'm struggling financially, or I'm struggling with my mental health, or I'm struggling with my physical health, whatever that is. We all need people to talk with about certain difficulties. The we also need that for our marriages. The issue is that sometimes people go to their friends and their family to talk about the difficulties in their marriages and don't
Yeah.
even realize that they are dishonoring, belittling, and talking bad about their spouse, and the your friend and your family member who isn't with your husband every single day, isn't with your wife every single day, uh, they choose you over your spouse, and you start painting this picture in their life,
Yeah,
and they're going to start giving advice, and that advice can be one-sided and small-minded.
absolutely.
And a good Christian friend is always going to point you back to covenant marriage, and a good Christian friend is always going to say, well, yeah, what can you do about it? Not necessarily him. A good Christian friend is not going to try to skew your perspective. A good Christian friend is not going to just commiserate with you,
Yeah.
but going to encourage you and tell you how you can be better. And so I think it's good to talk to friends about, hey, yeah, it's tough here, need encouragement, but you got to be careful how you do that.
Yeah, and have boundaries,
Yeah,
right?
and have boundaries. And then there's a whole different thing with family, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that, yeah, I love what you said about how marriage magnifies. We talked about how it's like a mirror, and I think that there are certain things in our journeys, though. Maybe we can even share a little bit personally here. But, can you remember? I'm going to put you on the spot. Can you remember a time where it was like, I'm the problem, it's me, and it surprised you maybe early in our relationship? And like, how did you, how did we deal with that?
I think uh, I think we have a really great marriage, and we don't have there's no weird dark things, there's sin problems.
Right.
But I think that there can be like, oh, I remember I sh- I don't think I forget things, but I do.
Yeah.
I just don't think I forget things.
Ever. Yeah.
Yeah, but I obviously do. And that's like a lighthearted one, but I would forget that I've said things. I forget that we've had conversations. I would
Hmm.
forget that I would forget all sorts of stuff. And I don't know how, because it's like I feel like it's not possible that we had that conversation. But there's been several times where you've helped me remember, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and it's kind of embarrassing. But what I love about that e- example is there's times when something was true that I thought was false. Something happened that I think didn't happen, but it actually did happen.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'm a bad guy. It's not that I genuinely have a blind spot where I was
Yeah.
unable to see that something that was true was true. Well, I think you can apply that to so many areas. How many blind spots do we have?
Yeah.
And that's a me problem. And I just think all of us have to go, we all have blind spots.
Yeah.
We all have uh things that we need to be able to take responsibility for. So all of us have a different length of fuse. How long is your fuse before you get angry? How does your tone start shifting from encouraging to condescending? Like all of that,
Right.
there's a different fuse and length and all that stuff, and your spouse knows you better than anyone. So
Yeah.
the little looks and the little
Yeah, that
it
can
all
all add
matters.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like what you said about that. I think that's so true. Like we can all have you called it a fuse. I'd even say like a grace. I have like this amount of grace period, for certain things, right? And certain things are smaller than others. And even what you're saying, like you and I would say, and this is something that maybe people don't practice very much, but we do practice a lot of authentic, vulnerable feedback with one another too. So even as we're talking about this and we're saying, hey, you're always looking at yourself, we still definitely sharpen each other, right? We definitely call things out in each other. We help
Yeah.
each other. We grow each other. We have a very I would say you've really helped me with this. This is an area of my life where this was very, very hard for me. But the longer we've been married, the more I've grown in this area of being able to receive feedback. Because for me, and we talked about it, any kind of feedback felt like an attack on me and my character and who I am. And often it was helping me change a behavior, an action, a situation. And we talk about separating the who from the do, right? The like who you are from what you just did or how you just acted. And in doing that really helps to build trust with one another.
Yeah.
And anyways, it reminded me though of even last week, we had a little conversation last week that was like, sometimes I can be really bad about correcting you in conversation. And it's not an attempt to
Sure.
correct you or make him seem wrong. It's I think I'm just adding. Or it's just like the way I think. I think very exact or very like no, it was this, and to me, that's
Yeah,
like,
today it was about, you got in a conversation with someone about taking like genetic testing, and it's like you get on this angle of yours where it's like,
wait, what did I do wrong in that conversation?
no, it's just it's like it's just this like standing up for.
Yeah, I feel very confident about what I think, and so do you.
Exactly.
Yeah, we
are good at that.
We're good at that. I mean, that's why we
defend
the faith.
Good leaders. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're, persuasive preachers, hopefully. But yeah, a couple times, I think it was like 5 times in one evening, like we were in a group and I probably.
Oh yeah, that was back in May. It was actually in April.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so anyways.
Actually, Bill gave me those gifts. That was Pam. Like it's like, stop.
Yeah, and
I'm just, who cares?
The truth is that I just didn't realize I was doing that. And so we had a conversation about it later, and I said, "Hey," "I'm really sorry that I've been doing that." In my perspective, I was collaborating with you, not correcting you.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good word for what I thought I was doing. That was my heart behind it, but it doesn't change the fact that you felt like it was correcting, and how
By the way,
I want to be better about that. And have I been better about that since?
Yes. And by the way, it's me. I'm the problem. Because I think that that's a behavior you've learned from me.
I think you're right.
It is.
Yeah,
no,
I think that
because I've always been. I'm a little bit of a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And for the last year, I've been really focused on like, hey, like you don't need to correct people. People do this. Like you'll be like at dinner with friends, and they'll be like, "Yeah, Patrick Swayze was in this movie," and like someone's like, "No, he wasn't," and like it's just not even the point. Like you don't.
Patrick Swayze.
It could be. It's literally stupid things like this. Like people will want to be right about like the small details and like in the middle of someone's story, and they don't even realize like actually like what you're doing when you're correcting people like that. Like there's a whole thing by Dale Carnegie about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, like it doesn't.
You're not really winning friends.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just like
it doesn't matter.
Be right when you need to be right. Don't be right in the middle of someone's story when they're just trying to do a thing. So I used to do that a lot. And I think that's where you've learned that, and
yeah.
So
you've influenced me, maybe.
I've become more aware of not correcting people on little details, and because I've been aware of it, I was able to notice that you were doing it to me a lot too.
Yeah.
But it's me. I'm the problem. So
yeah, I definitely. I've been noticing that I'm doing it, and I'm trying to. How I've tried to fix it is ask more questions or immediately go, "Oh, I must have not remembered that correctly." I'm trying to, because you can still make the mistake and you need to redirect. So that's my new thing, is like, "Oh, I must have been wrong." That's my new thing.
That's good.
Yeah.
Kind of like a very passive aggressive way to fix the problem.
Maybe that's not the right response, but
you're wrong, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're saying.
Yeah, that's been it lately. So maybe we'll address that at a different thing.
It's you. You're the problem.
It's me. I'm the problem. They're not. But anyways, you're the best. You're so good at helping me get better.
Okay, give us 5 things about Taylor David Sheldon Wilkerson
that's super sexy. We've been talking about how funny the word sexy is in like regular conversation, and I hope it just made you really uncomfortable, because that's the point.
Like the point is like throw sexy in a regular like conversation, and it's very inappropriate. Like go to Starbucks, order a coffee, just be like, "Yeah, can I get a skinny latte? Make it extra sexy." It's like so weird. What does that even mean? It's the weirdest, the most inappropriate. We don't actually do that.
But. Okay, so you want me to give 5
No, I was just joking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you want us to wrap up?
I didn't say that.
Well, we're wrapping up. Okay, how about rapid fire? I'll give you 5 questions for you. Okay.
Wait, I thought we weren't doing the 5 questions.
Well, now I've got an idea, and
I don't know, babe.
Okay, ready? Question number 1. Do you always only drink cold brew?
No, I don't. I'm really into hot coffee these days too.
Like just black hot coffee?
Yeah, really into it. Like a French
Since
press.
When?
And
yeah, the French press.
But I'm also into cafe au laits at a coffee shop. I've been ordering that a lot.
Can you explain to me the difference between a cafe au lait and a cappuccino?
All right, cafe au lait is like a black coffee with milk, but that milk gets steamed before they put the milk into it. A cappuccino is steamed milk with a shot of espresso with some foam on the top.
What's a new hot take you have about something?
Ooh. That 30A is the most overrated vacation destination in America.
I agree. As a Florida girl, I totally agree. Okay, next question. What is your favorite kind of date that we go on?
A new restaurant
Yeah, we
in
love
a cool part of the city, and a taxi ride where we make out on the way home.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I like that. Question number 4.
Making out in a taxi,
We have done that.
10 years in a marriage, is super sexy.
Okay, next question. If you had to pick between going on a trip to the mountains to hike, like a beautiful mountain, or going to Thailand to go to islands, what would you choose?
Am I alone or am I with you?
You're with me.
Well, you in a bikini in Thailand is wonderful. Dealing with you in the mountains, not fun.
Sounds miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. But you'd choose the other thing if it was just you.
If I'm riding solo,
yeah, you'd go on the mountain. Yeah. Okay.
With the boys.
With the boys.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question.
This is like 6. This is like 9.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. It's
no,
at least 10
it just
questions.
had follow-up. It just had follow-up questions. Okay. Last question.
I don't know what camera to look at. Do I look at this one?
This one right here, right in the middle. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, I don't have one. I don't believe in favorite movies.
What have you said?
I've always said it's Saving Private Ryan, but maybe that's true. I don't.
Interstellar.
Interstellar's on the list.
Who's your favorite actor?
I love Will Ferrell. All those comedies, very inappropriate but amazing. Leonardo DiCaprio hasn't done a movie I don't like except J. Edgar. And
yeah, that movie was.
Yeah, I can keep going, but you know what my favorite is?
What?
By far?
What?
McGee and Me.
McGee and Me?
Do you remember McGee and Me? Like the kids' church, McGee and Me?
I love that. True story, Taylor actually got saved through the ministry of puppets.
Fun fact, exactly.
That is
thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah. Well, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, thanks for being on the podcast. You're my favorite guest.
You're my favorite host.
I love you. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.